Hello everyone, it is Joe here from Omnipoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon, and today we're on PTCGO doing another deck profile for you all. Today I'm going to be talking about a deck that's seen a bit of hype recently. A few players have been taking this to regionals in the US, and there's a good reason for it. Flareon and Leafeon, let's have a look at them, and I've decided to use a Excadrill tech in here. I'll explain that in a little while as well. The decks that have been receiving hype at the moment around Flareon and Leafeon have used Empoleon and Slurpuff and that sort of stuff to give itself some sort of draw engine. But I feel like Excadrill is another way of playing it to help you out in sort of awkward matchups that Flareon and Leafeon can run into. Nevertheless, let's start off with these two cards. The reason why Flareon and Leafeon are so popular right now is because they're really good at countering big cards and big decks in the metagame right now. So Leafeon, being a grass type, is super effective against Seismitoad EX, Kyogre EX, and Groudon EX. That is absolutely ridiculous. So Energy Crush, doing 20 times the amount of energy attached to all of your opponent's Pokemon on their entire board, not just their active like an X-Ball. Energy crushes everything on the field, so it can do massive numbers, especially when we're considering doing times 2 damage to all of these water Pokemon and the Groudon, of course. So Energy Crush does really good numbers. It also has a water resistance, meaning that Seismitoad really is going to be doing like next to no damage on you. Really lasers are going to be the things racking up damage on Leafeon rather than the actual Quaking Punch itself. So this is a really fantastic counter card for that, and that's why we're playing 3 in here to try and capitalize on this. I may as well just say now as well, the Eevee that we're using, if I can bring it up here, has Energy Evolution. So when you attach a Grass energy, Grass is the energy that we can get to find Leafeon. We don't play Fire in here to find Flareon. But basically, if we attach a Grass to Eevee, we can search our deck for a Leafeon and evolve it turn 1. This is a really good ability to have because it means that we're less likely to get donked if we have, 100 HP with Leafeon rather than the 50 with Eevee. And it also means we can start attacking quite early on, even though Leafeon's not going to get too powerful until the mid to late game. So next up we have Flareon. Flareon's been hailed as the big old counter to Virgin, and that's exactly why it's still in here, and it's a really good card. Vengeance doing 20 plus 10 more for each Pokemon in your discard pile. We play 19 in here, so you can get good numbers up in there, especially because we have Muscle Bands and Bangles as well to help us out. And of course, when we're trying to hit stuff that are fire weak, we need, very few in the discard pile to start dealing with Virizions and Genesects really quickly for just a DCE cost. Another good thing is that Mega Gardevoir is becoming like a real threat in the format. It's a real front runner right now. And for that reason, Flareon becomes useful again because people are going to start playing metal decks. And Bronzong variants, potentially Mega Aggron is going to see some play, trying to counter Mega Gardevoir. So Flareon, comes in strong again because we can deal with these metal decks that people want to try and counter Mega Gardevoir with. So Vengeance coming in really strong and doing a whole lot of damage. So these are the main 2 things we're trying to cover here. We're trying to cover Virizion Genesect and the 2 new Primal evolutions we're trying to deal with as well. That being said, Energy Crush does good numbers against Mega Gardevoir as well because they typically have, 6 or 7 energy on the field after they've used a couple of Geomancies. So Energy Crush does good numbers there for just 1 energy as well. But in terms of dealing with Mega Gardevoir, that's why we have the Excadrill in here. The main reason why Flareon is strong is because we're trying to play the type game, type advantage on everything in the format pretty much right now. And Excadrill being a metal type is a great card to have against Mega Gardevoir because we can use Maclaw for 50 damage, times 2 to do 100, and because of Barrage, his trait here, we can attack twice, doing 200. That's still not getting the knockout, but we do have Muscle Bands and Silver Bangles, which of course make it accessible to get these 1-hits. Technically it's a 2-hit, but you're doing it in 1 turn, so I'll still call it a 1-hit knockout to be fair. Another great reason why I like using Excadrill is he has Dredge. So you can search your deck for 2 energy and attach them to himself. So basically he's a self-sufficient card. He can use Dredge to set himself up in 1 turn and then hit a big burst of damage. This is enough to warrant his place in the deck. Flareon and Leafeon doesn't have any energy acceleration around it, really. So that means that it's good to have Excadrill able to set itself up pretty consistently. Also, the fact that Dredge is a colourless cost makes it a lot easier to play in this deck. It makes it a lot more splashable, because then we can just attach, a DC or a grass energy and then Dredge to find our metal, which we play a low count of in here. So it's actually really easy to get Excadrill set up for these knockouts. The other reason why I like having Excadrill in here, he hits numbers that Flareon and Leafeon can't hit in these random matchups. Like at the moment, Empoleon Milk Tank's becoming kind of strong. People like to play that. And with a Muscle Band, we can Maclaw twice to kill Empoleons, and then they struggle to one-hit us back because they're relying on us having a full bench and all of that good stuff. So Excadrill does good maths in these random matchups where Leafeon would be terrible, especially in Empoleon. I'll go back to this example. Leafeon's pretty bad because they only really need one energy to attack each turn, and Flareon, of course, would be bad because it takes a lot of setup to get enough damage to do 140 in the discard, and of course Flareon will always get counter KO'd because of Empoleon's weakness, or the weakness that we have to Empoleon. So Excadrill gives us good outs. It's a stable number, unlike Vengeance and Energy Crush, where your opponent can manipulate it sometimes, and maybe if you have a slower start, it's difficult to get Flareon going. But Excadrill having that 50 base damage, very, very helpful. Also, it's good to bear in mind that the attack goes through resistance. So Manectric is the main thing right now that we're going to be seeing with a metal resistance, but we just can ignore that and do still good numbers against it. Next up, I'm going on to the Outrages that we have. I like to play 3 Outrages in this deck. 2 of them are this Kieran, and 1 is a Zekrom, which we'll see in a moment. I like having Outrages just in general because it means that we can throw those up as walls in the early turns. Because, like I say, Leafeon and Flareon, they kind of need 2 to 3 turns probably to set up for decent damage, or allow your opponent to put some energy on the board at least so that Flareon can do good damage. I mean Leafeon, sorry. I keep getting confused with the names, but you know what I'm talking about. And these Outrages can sponge a couple of hits maybe from early aggressive decks. Maybe Groudon if they use the Landorus to set up. Kieran's a great wall to throw up there to do Outrage. Of course, for just a DCE. Also, the reason why I played 2 Kirams, and it's because of the water typing. It's another type that we have to cover. It means it's a real pain for Donphan to run through. If you're still seeing Donphan, I know it's gone down in popularity because of Mega Evolutions and stuff. It just takes too long for Donphan to get knockouts consistently. But if Donphan is still being played, Kieran can be thrown up there as a great wall. A real annoyance for Donphan to deal with. Also, Landorus. We see a lot of Landorus Crobat right now. And Kieran's another great option to have there as a water-type Outrager. We can hit Landorus's very quickly, very cheaply as well. We are playing 1 Zekrom. No Reshiram in here. I like having the water and lightning coverage because, of course, we already have Flareon for that fire coverage. So Zekrom, the Outrager that we can throw up against Yveltal if people still want to play that. And I really like having the Zekrom in here. I like having a 3rd Outrager as well, so that we can actually start relatively quickly or often with an Outrager rather than an Eevee or something else like that. The only other Pokemon we have in here are a couple of tech cards. I like using 1 Ordino for Busybody. It gets us out of sleep and poison, which is very useful against Seismitoad because they're often going to try and use these lasers to stop your Leafeon attacking, and it can be very annoying if they've done a Quaking Punch and then you stay asleep after being lasered. It means that you can't get the full usage out of your Leafeon. And of course we're under Trainer Lock, so it's kind of difficult to get all of our guys out. We can't switch out of the active, of course. So Ordino comes up trumps here. Another great reason why I like playing Ordino is because we use Pokemon Fan Club, so we can search it even under Trainer Lock to get ourselves out of that special condition. And it means that Leafeon can stay around for an extra turn, and it means we can get another 2-shot on a Seismitoad or another 1-shot even if they want to play down multiple energies. So Ordino, very worth putting in here. The reason why I only play 1 at the moment is because Silent Lab is being seen, fairly commonly, and it is a bit of a dead draw in those sorts of situations. Obviously, it can still be used for sort of discard follow to help Vengeance, so it's never completely useless, but at the moment I'm happy with just 1 in here. Finally, we're playing 1 Jirachi. A lot of decks are seeing Jirachi be thrown in right now, and I just really like having Stellar Guidance accessible to us. We have a lot of different supporters in here, and we just want to grab what we can at the time. Another reason why I think it's not too worrying to have it in this deck specifically is because we play a lot of basic Pokemon, so it's going to be rare that we actually start with Jirachi, which everyone of course dreads. And also the fact is we're using these counter Pokemon to deal with our opponent's deck. So a lot of the time your opponent, if they are getting an attack off, it's going to be to revenge whatever just killed them. Like if it's a Virgin deck, they're going to want to kill the Flareon that's, you know, stood in their face, hitting 180 a turn. If it's Kyogre or Seismitoad, they need to deal with these Leafeons. That your opponent never really has the chance to deal with the Jirachi and take the extra prize, unless you're already in a pretty bad situation. So I like playing Jirachi in here. On to trainers now. We've got one comp search. It just searches anything you want in the whole deck, and DC as well, which is very important for Flareon. And of course it discards to help Vengeance get even stronger. One bicycle, just because I like having an extra card, especially because we can Skylar for it if we really need to. One compressor to speed up the Vengeance combo, making us thin our deck out a little bit, get rid of things we don't need, as well as of course Pokemon to power up Flareon. We've got two switch in here. Everything has pretty bulky retreat cost, and I'd rather not switch out if we have to, if that makes sense. But when we need to switch, obviously we need the option. Having the one Ordino is helpful as well for helping us conserve switches, because we can just get ourselves out of sleep or whatever when we need to, rather than just switching out. Kind of a low count, but there's not much space for more. I'd like to find a third slot, definitely, but at the moment I just can't see it happening. So next we've got 4 Ultra Ball, essential for getting everything out you need, and also thinning the deck as well. It's a big thing in this deck. You want to thin through as much as you can to end-proof yourself after you've taken 1 or 2 knockouts on big EX Pokemon that we can hit quite happily. Next up, 2 VS Seeker. VS Seeker very important for spamming whatever supporters we need. Like you can see here, we're playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different... is it 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I'm good at maths, guys. 6 different supporters in this deck, so having VS Seeker just gives us more options throughout the game. Lysander, we're playing 2 of this, of course, because we're trying to hit the things that we want to hit, if that makes sense. We want to hit the things that we can hit for weakness and kill pretty easily for just 1 or 2 energy. So if your opponent's hiding something on the bench, we want to pick it off with a Lysander. 4N, pretty useful, getting us through the game pretty much. Also, it's a good comeback card because we can sometimes take a sort of slow approach with stuff like Leafeon and Flareon. It does take time for these guys to build up their damage output, and N can help us stay in the game in these first 4 or 5 turns when maybe we've lost a prize or 2 rather than taken 1 or 2 of our own. Next up, 3 Fan Club. Like I say, I like having Fan Club in here. It's searchable even under Trainer Lock, and Seismitoad is fairly popular right now, so having that option is very useful. Also, we want to get stuff like Leafeon out in multiple numbers so that if we are like captured up and killed, we still have something to evolve next turn. Next, for Juniper, pretty standard. Everyone plays Juniper. Great in here as well because you can discard Pokemon to help out with Vengeance. 1 Skylar and 2 teammates. I originally had 3 teammates in here, but I like having an extra option with Skylar because there are times when teammates is a dead card and you'd just rather Skylar. Of course, we can Battle Compressor to get the 1 Skylar in there straight away to use with VS Seeker when we need it. So I like having, even if it is just a 1 Skylar, I like having that option. But the 2 teammates makes this deck much, much stronger. 2 teammates and the 2 VS Seeker means we can use teammates when we need to, pretty much, and capitalize on our guys going down. Everything has, fairly low HP. The Outrage is being the highest of the bunch. And the idea is to take, or force your opponent to take, literally 6 prizes on 6 Pokemon. So we have a lot of options to use teammates throughout the game. Finally, we have the tools, 2 Bangle and 2 Muscle Band. There's reasons for having a 2-2 of each. Obviously, the Bangle is an extra 10 damage, so why wouldn't you want that? And for the majority of the time, you will be swinging into EXs, that's important. But for these matchups, like the mirror match, because it's interestingly enough that this deck is actually receiving a lot of recognition right now, and Muscle Band does help out in the mirror. Also, like I said earlier with Empoleon, that's another non-EX deck where Muscle Band can help us out, whereas it would be useless if it was a Silver Bangle. So I like having the split there. finally onto energy. We're playing 10 in here. It's quite high for a Flareon deck, if I'm honest, but that's because we need to have these metals in here for Excadrill. So we're playing 2 metals. Like I said, Dredge can find them for us, so we don't need to play a full count of those. I'd rather still stick with 4 grass energies so that we can find our Leafeon as quickly as possible. Another great thing is, even under Seismitoad lock, they can't stop us getting our Leafeons out because it's searchable through grass energy. It's a really, really great method of getting Leafeon out. I really enjoy that. And finally, the 4 DCE. It's, of course, needed for Vengeance and for Outrage. So that is the deck, guys. Basically, the strategy is to find your opponent's weakness and just hit into that. So hopefully we can find a meta deck to play against here. And basically, if it is a meta deck, we should have a pretty good time. If not, this is where the Achilles heel is. If you come up against something not so standard, Flareon can be a little bit worse. So here we are against Kano Maru. And we're going to flip some coins, and it is a heads. And we're going to choose to go first. And we'll see what our opponent's playing. It looks like he's playing at least a Leafeon. I want to see if it loads here. Rough Seas as well, so interesting. I don't know what he's playing. Oh, it's Manectric. This is something that we... Oh. Okay. He just forfeited. Manectric is something that we actually can deal with. Funnily enough, something I forgot to mention was that Outrages, having this 130 HP makes it very annoying for Manectric, because normally Manectric is played with some sort of tech where they need to charge up another attacker onto the bench via Mega Manectric's attack that does 110 damage. And of course that means that our Outrages are a real thorn in the side of that deck because they're forced to attack into us. Otherwise they're just passing the turn away. So we can hit a big number onto Mega Manectric, force them to use their max potions and stuff, waste those rather than just getting knockouts and rolling through us sort of thing. So we do actually have good options against Mega Manectric, even though we don't play fighting types in here. Either way, I've rambled on so much that we found another opponent, and we're against random 8-10, and we've mulliganed with a bunch of supporters. And here we are, we find a Kyurem, and we have a Jirachi as well to find ourselves a supporter, so let's see what our opponent is playing, and act accordingly, I guess. That's the main thing to do with Flareon. See what they're playing and try and counter it. So it looks like we're up against Swampert, which is of course weak to grass, so Leafeon is going to come up trumps here. And good thing too, because we have Ultra Ball to find an Eevee and a Grass Energy to find Leafeon, even though we already have one. But Energy Evolution means that we can evolve this turn and probably kill this Mudkip if we are able to move this Kyurem. So this could be quite interesting. We see an attachment and a Skylar. So I wonder if Swampert is the main attacker, or is it just the tech card for whatever else our opponent plays. Seeing them attach the active is sort of a telltale sign that they want to use it as an attacker. I'm going to start off Ultra Balling away another Ultra Ball and a DCE, because it looks like in this matchup Grass is actually going to be the more important energy that we have. The Excadrill is also going to be important because he can hit... oh no, he can only hit 140. Swampert is 150. I forgot about that. So it looks like Leafeon is going to be carrying us this game. Fortunately, as you can see, 2 in hand and the other one is in the deck. So we should be pretty safe here. I'm going to go for that Energy Evolution. And we're going to Jirachi for an N and try and find ourselves a Switch and a Muscle Band. That would be ideal off of this N. Obviously don't want a Juniper here because Leafeon is super important in this matchup. So here is the N. We find a Switch and a Bangle. We were so close. So I think we'll just end the turn here. Leafeon, of course, doing 20 times, not 20 plus. So we have to take that into consideration. A good thing is, though, Swampert does require 3 energy to get his attack off. So Leafeon should be trading fairly favourably, or at least keeping up with the Swampert, if, like I say, that is the main attacker of the deck. We see a Sharon here. Makes sense because Swampert can get a card from the deck onto the top of the deck, if that makes sense. They get to search for any card and put it on top of the deck. So I guess if you use Sharon as your supporter, once you've used a Swampert, you can draw into exactly what you need to. And of course, if you have multiple Swamperts on the field, etc., you can get the 3 ideal cards you want off of a Sharon, which is pretty strong. So we see an attachment to a benched Mudkip and just a sacrificial Mudkip thrown up here. I'm going to switch into the Leafeon. Not concerned about any of that stuff. We can get rid of a Flareon quite happily. Also going to dump an N. And we're going to find ourselves another Eevee, I think. And we need to take prizes quite quickly because we have 2 Eevees prize, it seems. So taking this prize is a good thing here. We're going to attach the DCE here. No point in bangling anything because it looks like our opponent's using Swampert as the attacker. So we'll just attach the DCE and have no luck with the Muscle Band. Don't need it though because he has 2 energy on the field now. And hopefully we can pull an Eevee off of here. Looks like we're having a bit of connection issues. Hopefully that can recover. My internet has been terrible all week. I've got to be honest. I've tried to upload this about 2-3 times, and I keep getting disconnected. Hopefully this is not a telltale sign of that fact. Oh, server connection. That's so annoying. Oh, darn. Okay, well, it looks like because of server issues, we're going to have to call it there, but I was pretty comfortable we're going to win that game. And I think in the next couple of days, I'll do a battle video anyway. I was considering doing a battle video regardless because Flareon is one of these decks that adapts so differently to every different matchup. I feel like it's worth seeing not just one battle, but a few. So there it is, guys. I hope you enjoyed the deck at least, rather than the battles, because we couldn't really get a good one in. But like I say, future uploads to come around Flareon and other decks as well. I know that there's been a couple of requests for a Yveltal deck, and I will be doing that sometime next week. So hope you all enjoy, guys. Comment down below. Tell me what you think about the Flareon deck. I could also do a review of the Slurpuff and Empoleon builds. I am aware of that build. I just personally think that the build that I've just shown you gives us a better matchup against Gardevoir, whereas with the Empoleon as an attacker that we can use, although we have better draw engine and stuff, it doesn't really stop Aromatisse from just healing off all the damage we do, and then Gardevoir just wrecking our whole team. So overall, that's my opinion on the matter. So that is all for now, and I will see you guys next